So big question today, guys, is will you survive the recession? We've been in a market bubble for about the last 4 years. Okay, now that market bubble has gotten extraordinarily large over the last two. And so in spite of us being in a bubble 2 years ago, we are in a massive bubble right now. And so for those of you guys who are sitting back wondering if there's gonna be a recession, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you 100% that yes, we're gonna move into an inflationary market, but the warning signs are on the wall. Interest rates are going up to be able to stabilize the inflation that's happened, we've all felt at the pump, at the grocery stores, and everywhere. And so the answer to your question is more than likely we are going to be going into a recession. Now, you guys look behind me here, and this is one of our houses. We have a few of them going up right now. And you might be asking yourself, well, Jerome, if a recession is going to happen, why in the world would you continue building houses? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're not only building houses, we're building apartment complexes, and we're also buying them, and in spite of what's coming. And here's why. It's not whether you buy or not buy, it's how you buy when you buy. And so the variable is pivoting to make sure that you're accommodating future market changes. And so the way we underwrite our deals is slightly different. The way we build our houses are slightly different. So if you want to learn how to recession-proof yourself, and nothing's 100% foolproof, right? There's variables outside of our control. 2008 was a perfect example of that. I was humbled in my own ways, thinking that at that time I was invincible. And now I don't think that I'm invincible, but I've learned a lot over the last 20 years, and especially over the last 15 years since the last recession, to be able to position myself in an extremely different position to take advantage of the market. Now, I will tell you that the way we built homes was extraordinarily, during the recession, one of our saving graces. And you might sit back and think, well, if we go into recession, people can't afford homes like this. And the answer to that is less people can afford homes like this, but there are still buyers in the market, and there are still a need for rooftops exactly like the one behind me that I'm building today. The question is, will you build your home correctly to profit, or will yours be one of many that will sit on the market collecting dust, roof leaks, and problems over the course of a year, 2 years, as that market changes, pivots, for you to be able to exit and get out of it? Now, we want to sell our homes, and we want the profitability. We want that cash to bring in so we can invest it and deploy it into other assets. We don't want our homes sitting for 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. We want them gone. We want to sell them. As much as we love them, as prideful as we are in them, we want them gone, because profits don't come in until they're sold. So in a recession, how do I recession-proof myself so that I can go in and make sure that this house is going to sell? Now, the biggest thing is that those of you guys that are sloppy, I'm talking to you. And yes, most of you that are out there watching this video, I'm talking to you. If you're a builder, if you're going out and doing things, most of you guys are sloppy. And how I know is because I look around at all the construction that goes on around me, all the homes, the people I sell to, and I walk into those homes as a realtor in my area just to go in and eavesdrop on my competition, to go in and check and see how my competition is handling the recession, handling the market, handling the upturn, the upscaling, or the downscaling of any market. I want to see what my competition's doing. So I go in, I snoop around, I look at the fixtures, the lighting, the finish out, the trim out, I look at everything. And I say, I can do better than than any of them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you recession-proof yourself. Because here's what happens. You guys ever walk into a restaurant when there's like a downturn in the economy, like during COVID, and you have this high-scale, nice restaurant, or just a restaurant that you go to that you really love the food extraordinarily, and then the market collapses, and the restaurant goes, oh shit, I need to pivot, I need to change, and then they start changing their menu items to make things more cost-effective. They go from fresh vegetables to frozen vegetables. Extreme difference in the taste of the food. And then you, as the consumer, the reason you go into that restaurant is maybe those fresh vegetables or that fresh non-frozen meat, and they switch it to frozen patties, and you sit back and scratch your head and go, damn, what I once loved most about this restaurant no longer exists. And so hence you times all the other customers leave that restaurant, and then they lose their business. So they go from already being financially distressed to downscaling their product, then they downscale their service, and then they lose customers, and the next thing you know, they're out of business. So the same thing that goes in the restaurant business. Don't ever compromise quality and service in any market, okay? Write that down. Do not ever compromise quality and service in any market. In fact, in a distressed market, you should never compromise quality. And that's the first thing most builders do. They say, oh my God, the houses aren't selling for as much. I'm going to compromise my quality by going out and buying a $99 toilet from Home Depot instead of buying a $250 toilet that I should get from my supply house to be able to give somebody a better product. Instead of going out and getting 3mm granite, I'm going to put in 2mm granite. So people walk in, they go, huh, those countertops are awfully thin. But your competitor down the street has a 3mm, and the quality variance is very, very noticeable. You go from these big giant 8-foot windows to these little tiny 4-foot windows to save and cut costs. You go from a 2-tone paint to a 1-tone paint to save cost. You go from putting tile backsplashes in the kitchen to just going in and putting painted walls behind the backsplashes in the kitchens, and you compromise and take that quality out of it. That's the wrong thing to do, and that's the stuff that I see all my competitors doing during a compressed market and during a recession. Don't do that. The way you become recession-proof is you become a better version of you. Your product becomes the best product that it has ever been at any point in time in history, and I promise you, your product would sell. And the reason is because buyers have options. When buyers have options, buyers are more sophisticated than you think. In a seller's market, buyers will compromise their better judgment just to be able to get into a home because they have to. There's a need. They have to get into that home. But in a compressed market, they don't. So in a compressed market, when there's a recession, the buyer doesn't have to get into that home. They have options. They can go shop, and they're willing to wait because they know that just like you, there's going to be 10, 15 other builders in your area that are going to want to sell a home. And so when that other builder goes and builds a better quality product than you and offers somebody more for their money, guess what happens? Your buyer no longer becomes your buyer. Your buyer becomes your competitor's buyer, and you lose. You lose them as a buyer, you lose everything about them loving what you put together. You might have the best looking home, but if you trim it out incorrectly, you lose that buyer. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you, to become recession-proof, you have to build with quality. And quality is never compromised. We do it on 100% of our homes, 100% of the time, no matter what market that we're in. So I can rest assured that I'm gonna have the most unique, state-of-the-art, trending trim out on tile, on all of my fixtures, on all of my trim out items, doors, windows, countertops, everything that is currently going through the market in that time period. And no quality will be compromised based on that market. And when we do that, we'll have a buyer at the end of that tunnel and the end of that build that will buy that home, because let the other competitors be the ones that compromise their quality so that you can take their customers, and now their customers become your customers, and the same customer that bought their home because you lacked on quality was never your customer. But ladies and gentlemen, retain all customers. When you're looking to buy land, build houses in a recessionary market, I promise they will sell if you follow our simple steps, the quality and trim out that's trending and that people want. Make that home seamless and move-in ready with high quality trim out items, and I promise you'll get through the recession.